All right, today we're out here to do something that's kind of going to be fun, kind of going to be a little sad. We are looking to make this thing run again. Now, it hasn't run in, I want to say, 3 years. 3 years since I parked it there. And we are getting it running because we're planning to sell it. After 19 years of ownership and many modifications, we are going to be letting it go. So we're going to see if after 3 years it fires up and runs or not. All right, let me go over what we've done here. What I did is I cut the fuel line off of the fuel cell because what's in there is really old, varnished, probably water contaminated, and needs to be cleaned out. I did add a gallon of fuel to it just to kind of help disperse what's in there because I'm going to drain it here shortly. But for now, I just cut the fuel line and I ran it into a gas can, which we won't be able to run it on very long because it's still returning to the cell. So that's kind of my other plan, is we'll run what's in the lines out back into the cell, then the cell can get drained and most likely reused. Well, the fuel cell, not the fuel itself. And get into the cab here. Okay, gonna turn the key on. First time that's been on in a while. Okay, I did hear the fuel pump cycle, so the fuel pump still works. And battery's connected. I had the battery charger on it just in case it's not gonna go. And we'll come down here to the universal Ford starter key. If you can see that or not. There we go. Ooh, little spark there. Not getting a good connection here. Whoa! All right. Truck that's been sitting for a few years. Idle's a little high, but I think the fuel is probably aerating from the way I got that fuel line set up and whatnot. You can hear she's clear. No bottom end noise. Got a little misfire right now. Could probably use an ignition tune-up. Settling in pretty good though. Shut it off before we get too much heat in it, I guess. There we go. As you can see, it needs work, but it's all there. $10 1/4 welded 5/38, otherwise stock. Goes into a custom drive shaft, which by custom I mean we just took a 89 F250 one that's slip yoke or non-slip yoke and made it fit to this. That's an MP208 case that apparently has a little water in it. Might need to be drained out or a seal put in it. There's a ZF, a little bit of oxidation there. This exhaust is duals, non-connected all the way up to the motor. It runs into some 2-chamber mufflers and then 3-inch tailpipes out the back. You can see there, that's the off-road design traction bar. That's just on that axle tube up to a custom mount that we made on the trans cross member. Let's see. You can kind of see over there the fuel lines. It's going to need new fuel hoses. I mean, the stuff that's on here when I made that fuel pump work is just rubber high pressure hose connected, but you can see the frame's in decent shape, and you can see where Those holes are there where I moved it. That's where the leaf spring shackle used to be, and we moved it, well, you can see here where it used to be, and then we moved it forward to here. Shortened the wheelbase by 17 inches, bringing it down to a 117. The shock mounts we made come above the axle so that they're not dragging. That is a Sky Manufacturing shackle flip with just a stock F-150 rear shackle, to stock F-150 leaf springs. Up front is a Dana 60. It's got a diff guard on it, 538 lock right. It's the 538 thick cut so that you can put that on a 354 and down carrier. Lift springs that I honestly think if you took that middle leaf out, maybe you'd end up getting a little bit more flex out of it and just run it as is, even with the shackle up front. Shackle's up front on my Mountaineer and that thing flexes great. There is a front toe point that's been built in here with the front bumper kind of cut with a plasma cutter freehand around it. Headlights, like I said, it's a F4TE 351 Windsor. Otherwise essentially stock, aside from having all the smog deleted off of it. It runs a shorter belt. There's no smog delete pulley, it just runs a shorter belt. The heat still works. The air would still work if you put a condenser in it. Obviously you'd probably want to blow all the lines out and you know, make a bunch of vacuums on the system before you ever try to make that work again, but I doubt you will. Yeah, other than that, it's stock, but it runs very well, and even after sitting for a long time, you know, a little bit of maintenance on it and you'll be good to go. I put a water pump on it. Water pump's got like maybe 25 or 40 hours, somewhere between 25 to 40 hours on it. Power steering pump, same thing. I did that at the same time when I put this engine in, you know, new thermostat. I put new plugs in it, but the wire set on it's really old, so I'm guessing that's why it's got a little misfire from the worn wires. You can see all the dirt up on the cowl and everywhere. It's because it's been parked under this awful silver maple tree that just has been ruining this truck for a couple years. So you can see the half doors. Those are kind of cool. I made them. Try and get a view of the dovetailed bed. So here probably shows it pretty decent. You can see how it narrows in fairly well. I just thought it looked pretty cool. So a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of maintenance, and that set of 38s that I got, and it's a pretty badass rig.